Hey everybody, this is Rich Brooks, and you're tuned in for another one of our 30-minute webinars. Today's topic is local SEO for small business. So we're going to be showing you how you can rank higher when people are doing searches for local businesses or even destination businesses. As always, I've got about 30 minutes of content that I plan on going through. As you have questions, please leave them in the questions box. I'll do the best I can to answer them, but I don't tend to take a break and read them while I'm presenting. I tend to do all of this, since I can't see anybody raising their hands, go through the presentation, and then I'll stick on the line after the presentation and answer all the questions you may have. So feel free to fire away questions even if you think I might get to them later on. All right. So with that being said, we are going to be talking about how you can improve your local SEO today. As I often do, I am going to just mention that we here at Flyte New Media have an approach to digital marketing we call the bare essentials of digital marketing. It is an acronym, and a lot of the acronym and the digital marketing does flow nicely into local SEO. So the B is for build. Basically building a platform that turns visitors into customers, and your website is going to be critical to your local SEO. It's going to be very difficult for you to rank well if you don't have a website. Attract, how do we drive people to our websites? And often that's through search, social, and digital ads. And of course, we definitely have, when it comes to local, we're talking local SEO today. So we're talking about how do we drive people to our website. Although today we're also going to be considering foot traffic, not just website traffic. Retain, how do you stay in touch with people after they've left your website? And finally, evaluate, how do we measure and analyze our results? And there are some opportunities within local SEO and local search to evaluate some of our activities as well. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rich Brooks. I'm the president of Flyte New Media. We're a web design and internet marketing company located in Portland, Maine. And we've been doing this for over 20 years. Also, I am the founder of the Agents of Change. That is a weekly podcast and an annual conference that takes place both in Portland, Maine and online. So if you're an auditory learner, you should definitely check out theagentsofchange.com and to download our podcast, sign up and subscribe. And if you're somebody who likes attending live conferences, then you definitely want to check out our annual conference. That's going on in September 20th and 21st this year in Portland, Maine. I'm also the tech guru on 207, which is the evening news program here on the NBC affiliates in Maine. And lastly, I wrote a book called The Lead Machine, The Small Business Guide to Digital Marketing. So let's start with a fairly simple question, you would think. What is a local business? Basically, if you meet with a customer face-to-face, either at your storefront or business or their home or business, you're a local company. So it's important to note that local SEO, what we're going to be talking about today, consists of everything from organic SEO plus geography. So let's take a slightly closer look at this. And before we do, as you can see, I just included a number of what I consider to be local businesses. We've got a natural food store. We've got a propane delivery company. We've got somebody doing bike tours. And of course, we've got a digital agency. So now that we're pretty sure what a local company is, what is local search? Now, as you can see here, this was a search I did for dance studios. So this is a fairly typical search. Somebody puts in dance studios, and Google, through its infinite wisdom, realizes that we're looking for a location, for a local business. And so it serves up at the top of the page, in this particular case, what's called the local pack. And these are 3 local listings of dance studios. And then also it serves us up organic localized results. So you can see the first 2 organic results are the Dance Studio of Maine, which happens actually not to be in one of the local searches, and Casco Bay Movers, another one that's not in that local pack. But it is a local search result. It's just that in this particular case, the local pack appeared above the organic search results. Obviously, if I did the search for dance studios while I was in, say, Seattle, Washington, the localized search results would be different, both in the local pack as well as the localized organic results. So it's just important to understand the difference between these two. We want to rank well in both these categories so we increase our chances of getting in front of our ideal customers and driving more quality traffic to either our website or to our point of business. And because Google doesn't always show a local pack, and because local pack and localized results are so closely linked, it's important that we try and rank for both. So why are local packs so important? Here's a search that I do for accountant, and I pull up 3, which appeared at the top of the page, and then there were more organic results down below. Of course, I could click on more places. But the thing is, if Google's giving me, in my opinion, 3 relevant results for local businesses, I'm probably not going to go any deeper than this. So a big portion of traffic is going to be doled out to these 3 businesses. So you want to make sure that you're one of these 3. Very often people are not going to go any deeper than what's in the local pack. They're not going to click on more places. Now, to put together this presentation, I did a lot of research. A few of the websites that I used, and when I send out the follow-up email, I'll include these in there. One is a 2017 local SEO ranking factors. This is very much based on specific measurable factors. Another site that I used was from Moz, and this was also 2017 local search ranking factors. This was more based on some of the local SEO experts, and they did a survey of some of the top ones in the industry, and they pulled in these results. And then lastly, just some elbow grease. The bottom line is here at Flyte, we spend a lot of time thinking about local businesses. We optimize for SEO for a lot of local businesses, so it's something that we've got some experience in as well. But I definitely tapped into some of the experts as well when putting together this presentation. So if you believe in what I believe, that for local businesses, local SEO is critically important, then you may be wondering how you're doing right now. And probably the first most important thing you can do is just go into Google as a user. And what I'd recommend is making sure that you're not logged in as with your Google account so that you get better results, more accurate results. But if you're basically come up with all the different search terms you think people are using to find you and pop those into Google, and for the ones that come up with local results, see if you appear. So if you think you offer boat cruises, if that's something that somebody would search on, go ahead, put boat cruises in and see if you come up as one of those top 3 locations, and do that for all the keywords that you think might be relevant. Another tool that you can use is called Moz Local. Moz is a piece of software that we use quite a bit for a wide variety of different search engine needs, and they do have a local tool that they own that we use quite a bit. I strongly recommend it for a number of different purposes. But what you can do is start typing in, go to Moz Local and start typing in your business, and if necessary, add in the zip code or postal code. You don't always need to. It'll pull you up, and then once you click on your own listing, it will show you how you currently score. So it'll give you some primary sources, direct network, indirect network, but it's also going to tell you how complete your rankings are. How, where are the areas of incompletion, where are the areas of inconsistency, and where are there duplicates. What we're looking for in a perfect world would be a perfect score of 100. We want to make sure that we're listed in all the different directories and that our information is consistent and there aren't duplicate listings. So this is a key element of local search, that you have consistency across all your listings throughout the web. Once you've done a little homework so you know kind of where you rank and where your opportunities lie, the next thing you're going to want to do, obviously, is improve your position. This is a race. It's a race to the top of the Google's first page, and you want to get there. There are things in local search that you can't control, and there are things that you can control. So some things that you can't control include proximity to the centroid. So what does that mean? That means how close you are to the center of the city or the center of the area being searched. Unless you move your building to the center of the city, that's not going to make that much of a difference. This is actually one of the factors that's been decreasing slowly over the years too, so I certainly wouldn't move your business right now. The second one is proximity to the centroid of other similar businesses. So, in other words, let's say that you're an antique store and you are in one part of town where there are no other antique stores, but maybe 5 or 6 blocks over, there's a group of antique stores all together. In that case, that's going to hurt you a little bit, where the centroid of these similar businesses is somewhere else. But again, not something you can control. And the third thing that you can't control but does affect your ranking in this local SEO is of growing importance, and that's the proximity to the searcher. This is especially true on mobile devices where Google knows exactly where you are. And obviously you can't move your building to get closer to this person, but it unfortunately does have an impact. And sometimes it makes a lot of sense because somebody might be looking for the nearest UPS store or pizza place. And in other cases, like accountants, it doesn't make a difference if I'm 1 block or 6 blocks from an accountant. It only matters who's the best local accountant. But these are things that do impact your visibility in local SEO that you can't control. So let's instead focus the rest of the time on what you can control to improve your rankings. One thing that you're going to want to do is do what we call a claim and cleanse. Now, if you're a brand new business, you may not have any business listing, but chances are if you've been in business for any length of time, even if you haven't spent any time doing local SEO, the internet is aware you exist. There are directories out there of businesses that get bought up and then put on the web. Bottom line is Google probably knows you exist. So along with Google as well as some other directories, what you're going to want to do is claim ownership of your business, or at least the ability to speak on behalf of your business. So there's a few different ways to do it. One thing that you can do is go to Google My Business and basically sign into your Google account and ask them to send you a postcard or make a phone call into your office. Either way will work, but this is one way that you can claim that you have control of the business, and that will give you control over your listing, and then you can do a bunch of good stuff to it. This works not just for Google My Business, but also for a number of these local directories. There are tools out there, by the way, because this can be a very tedious process because there's 15, 20 relevant of these directories. You can use a tool like Moz Local to help automate this process. I should say to help automate some of this process. There's still a certain amount of legwork that has to be done. So as you gain control of your listing, or if you are in fact creating a brand new listing, almost all of these directories have the same fields that you want to fill out as you go through this. And a lot of times when other people have filled out this information on your behalf, it may not be exactly the way you want it to go. So owning this and taking control of it makes the most sense. What I want to do is go through some of the key things that you're going to want to fill in and also some do's and don'ts with each one. Business name seems pretty straightforward. I'll just mention that you really want to put it in as is. So for us, it would be Flyte New Media. No keyword stuffing. So it's not going to be Flyte New Media, SEO, social media, email marketing, small business. Like that's just not going to be okay. And it's that kind of stuff that actually can get you in trouble. And also no geography in your business name. So it wouldn't be Flyte New Media, Portland, Maine. So you really want to be accurate with your business name and make sure that it's consistent across all these websites. Obviously, your address is going to be critically important. And again, this is going to be an as is. You do not want to use any P.O. boxes here. Even if that's where you get your mail, you're going to want to use your physical address. You're also not going to use any UPS stores. Not that many people use UPS stores for other reasons, but Google really wants you to show you where you are in business. And a lot of people work out of their homes, or they may just have a service area. So to get around this, what they did is they would go into the UPS store, get a box, and then put the UPS store down as their address. Officially, you are not supposed to use any address where you don't see customers. If you are somebody like a locksmith where no one's going to come to your business, then you're a service area business, and we'll talk a little bit more about what your options are as we get through this presentation. Yes, as I mentioned before, in short, you must serve customers at this address. Next is your phone number, and I'll just say that it should be a local number that you're promoting here. You definitely don't want to be putting in an 800 number that will work against you. And avoid any kind of vanity number. So if it's 1-800-mattress or even 1207 mattress, that's not what you want to put in. You want to put in your actual local number. And again, consistency is key. You've got an opportunity to put in your website URL. So you definitely want to enter in your website. I'd recommend your home page. This is not a place where you want to put in your social media profile or any other addresses. If you do have multiple locations, you have multiple stores, and you have individual pages on your website for each store, which I would recommend, then you actually can be pointing to, I would enter in a website URL for each one of your businesses. Each one would get its own listing, and each unique address would point to the individual page on your website. The next category, or the next field, is categories. This is in some ways the most critical of all of them. And often when we're not ranking well in local search, it's because we haven't been paying attention to the categories for our business. You want to choose, Google recommends that you choose the field that's most refined. So if you are a Mexican restaurant, they want you to choose Mexican restaurant, not restaurant. And they definitely don't want you to choose both restaurant and Mexican restaurant. For Google, at least, you can choose up to 10 categories, but they ask you to choose as few as are correct. So there's some debate in the SEO community whether or not you should use all 10, or if there's some sort of dilution factor where the more you use, the more it counts against you. So use your best judgment. If you can't find a category that describes your business, then try and get as close as possible and use some of the other things like description and some of your local SEO optimization techniques to get closer to that category. There is a description field where you can talk a little bit about your business and your services and what you do. It actually does not display at Google, even though Google asks you to put in a description. However, it can appear elsewhere. And the way you should think about your description is it's a simple elevator pitch. Why are you important? What kind of services do you offer? Who do you serve? That kind of thing. There's a field for social profiles, and here's where you want to just lay it out: your Facebook, your Twitter, and every other social platform that you're on. And then there's also images. This is another critical piece to the puzzle in terms of increasing your visibility and increasing engagement, which in turn helps Google rank you higher. So you definitely want to put images into your account. Again, you can't do this until you've claimed your account, but once you do, these do have a major impact. I would regularly add new photos to your accounts as you can. It raises engagement, which is something that Google is measuring. So if people are clicking on little thumbnails and taking a look at the photos, and these photos can be of anything related to your business. At Flyte, we often take photos of websites we've just created, screen grabs, and share those. Other businesses who might sell product could put up the product. You might put in pictures of your people, pictures of your customers, whatever seems relevant for you. And these days, there's opportunity to add video in there as well. And again, all of these things, you just want to be adding as much content as possible. All these things help increase your visibility. One place where you're going to want to spend more time is at Google My Business. And if you Google the phrase Google My Business, you'll get right to this page and you can just sign in and get to work. So the first thing you're going to want to do is claim your business. And as I mentioned before, you can do this via postcard. You can do this via phone call as well. Just make sure that if you are going to go through this process and you're ready to get a phone call, that you tell your team about it in case they call in, a main number and it gets routed to somebody else. I've definitely seen that happen. And let people know that there's a postcard coming, because these are small, nondescript postcards, and they've definitely been tossed as junk mail more than once. So just be ready for that. You can see here the Google My Business for Flyte New Media. We've put in some categories here. Make sure that you're putting yourself in the right categories. And to do this, I couldn't find any listing of all the different categories, so I started typing out some of our keyword phrases, and then you can see some of the opportunities there. And like I said before, we consider ourselves to be digital marketers, not internet marketers these days, but there is no digital marketing right now, so we go with internet marketing services. So again, just trying to get as close as possible. And as you start typing out certain things and you see something that seems relevant to you, just click on that and it will be added. Adding photos in Google My Business is pretty easy. There is a cover photo, there is a profile photo as well, and then the rest of them are just basically gallery photos. So take an image, whether from your phone or computer, upload it to your Google My Business, and it will be added. And as you can see, there's opportunities for 360 photos of your place of business. There's opportunities for video. You can categorize things as interior pics, exterior pics, so on and so forth, even photos from customers. And I would definitely just focus on getting everything done. Be a completist. The more information you fill out, the more points of data there are for Google to understand what your business is about and serve you up as a relevant result. Definitely include all of your working hours. For URLs, make sure those go in there. And Google now, this is fairly new, has an appointment URL. So I put in my contact form. We don't exactly have an appointment page on our website, but this is about as close as it gets. This is something new that's only been launched in the last month or so, is you can put in new categories or services rather, for what you offer. So we put in different types of web design we might do, different types of digital marketing we do. And then again, the description, just putting in as much information as possible, working in my keywords, the things that we do really well, such as SEO, search engine optimization, social media marketing, so on and so forth. And when I talked to John in my office, who actually does most of the day-to-day stuff with local SEO, and I asked him, as I walked through this presentation with him, what would you include? One of the things that he said was incredibly powerful were the Google My Business, or GMB, Insights. In other words, the analytics that GMB provides us. So this was something after working with a client for a few months. In the previous quarter, you can see that there were almost 3,000 actions that people took. And this is just from the local pack, right? So people who clicked through to visit the website was basically 1 in 1,500 people, 880 requested directions, and then 338 called you, and that's based on the people who clicked through the phone number on their mobile device. This was another one that I thought was really interesting. So you can kind of see where people are requesting directions. This might help you get a better understanding of where your audience is and maybe where you want to target your ads, whether they're Google ads, Google Map ads, or Facebook ads. So you can see that people who requested directions were from Portland, Westbrook, South Portland, and so on. Definitely some neat stuff. And if you are a local business and this is like your livelihood, then this is really the kind of stuff you want to focus on. A few other things that are critically important to your success in local search. One of them is reviews. Reviews are a major ranking factor. I cannot overstate this. Getting people to regularly review your business is critical. Better reviews are better, but any reviews are good. It shows, again, it's just more points of contact for Google to see and understand what your business is all about. A few tips about reviews. Never pay somebody to give you a review. You can definitely, ask people in most cases to leave a review for you, but never pay for that. Never spam. In other words, never go in pretending to be somebody else and leave a positive review for your business. Never ask your web developer or digital agency to go in there and make fake positive reviews. And never absolutely leave negative reviews for your competition. You definitely can encourage people to leave reviews, and there's a number of ways to do that, and we can talk a little bit more about that as well. Let people choose the platform. Like sometimes we might say, I'd really like you to leave a review on Yelp or TripAdvisor or Google, but the bottom line is, unless there's an area that you really need to pump up, let people choose the platform that they want to. Respond to all reviews. And this requires you to go on these websites, Yelp, Google, whatever, and claim ownership of the business so that you can leave responses to reviews. And it's been proven time again that people who leave a review, positive or negative, they prefer when the business owner or representative responds to it. Plus, even if somebody leaves you a negative review, very often you can kind of win that person over or show the people who come to the review, find the review later, that you take these reviews seriously. That can make a huge positive impact as well. So you want to respond to every single review. Oh, sorry, went a little backwards here. And the last one is to develop an ongoing program. So it's not just enough to do this once. You really want to have a regular program to encourage people to be leaving reviews and then follow up with them. At Flyte, one of the things we may do is, after a client, we finish the website, and usually a month or two later, we give them a tour of their Google Analytics to make sure they understand everything and check in with them. And very often, if a client says, what a positive experience they have, which certainly I hope they have, I ask them if they would leave a review for us in Google. And I tell them, if you Google the name of our business, and then you get this little knowledge panel, and further down in the knowledge panel, you'll actually see that there's a place to write a review if you can leave a review there. And we've started doing this with a little bit more regularity, and people are leaving reviews, and that is helping increase our visibility. And it's that simple. It's literally just telling people what to do. I've also seen examples of people giving out either virtual or physical cheat sheets of how to leave a review as well at different types of websites. Another critical thing is called citations. And citations are basically any mention of your business online. And this could be just by business name. It could be name and address. It could be name, address, phone number. It could be name, address, phone number, and website. Sometimes it's a link to your website, but it doesn't need to be. So even though links are very important, Google is actually looking for any points of data that they can basically understand more about your business. The more of these data points and the more consistent these data points are, the better for you. Citations basically help because they verify to the search engines that your business exists, especially when multiple sources have the same accurate information. Think of it almost like triangulation for your business. So there's different types of citations, and I kind of want to go through these. It's a little bit geeky, but there's the primary data sources. These are data aggregators that collect and validate data from multiple sources, then distribute them. Some examples include Infogroup, Axiom, Localese, and Factual. If you're not already in these, you're probably going to have to pay to get in them, but I would strongly recommend that this is worth it if local SEO is important to you. Then there's what's called Tier 1. These are prominent on Google, and very often they're used by people who are searching for a type of business or a business in a certain place. And so some examples might include Yelp or Facebook or the Yellow Pages, TripAdvisor. And they also could be more specific to a business like lawyers.com or specific to an area like denver.com. These are great places to get your business listed. Then there's Tier 2, similar, but just it's of less importance. So after you've gotten all your Tier 1s out of the way, then you can look at sites like Yellow Book, Merchant Circle, and Hot Frog. And then there are Tier 3 and Tier 4, and not surprisingly, these are just lesser and lesser known sites. Often these are the free ones to get into. But again, it may not be worth the energy it takes to actually get listed here. And very often there's kind of like a downward flow of information. So I'd focus first on primary data sources and then go Tier 1. And then Tier 2 is really, up in the air whether you want to do it. As I mentioned, links are citations. Links from other websites to yours are citations. And also, as I mentioned before, local SEO is a lot like organic SEO, except there's the geography component of it. In other words, what's good for organic search engine optimization is good for local optimization. And because of that, links are of critical importance. When it comes to getting links from another website to yours, you want to focus on quality. It's not just about getting as many as humanly possible. It's also a good idea to get a diversity of links. So getting links from just one or two websites, even if it's in multiple places, is not that fantastic. So you want to get a diversity of links. And then you want to get as many local links as possible. So links from other businesses, other local businesses to yours can be key to increase your visibility. I want to talk briefly before we wrap up about service area businesses. So these are businesses where you do not necessarily have a home office, but you're out there visiting people. A lot of people ask, how do you get any sort of visibility in local SEO? Well, unfortunately, recognize that this is an uphill battle. I would recommend that you get reviews from the towns that you service and then ask them to make sure that they mention that town in the review. So if you're in Portland and you want to get seen in Westbrook, then you best, when you do a job in Westbrook and they like you, ask if they'll leave you a review and ask them to give details about what you did and the town that they live in. You can also create strong landing pages for each city you service on your website. Make sure that each of these pages are unique with unique content on them. And you can also, assuming that you will answer the phone 24/7, is set your hours to 24 hours. That can give you advantage over other types of businesses. And I just want to mention that you sometimes can just buy your way to the top. So for example, this was a search on chiropractors, and you can see up here that we've got Jacob's Chiropractic Acupuncture that didn't appear in the top few listings, but because they're buying Google AdWords, they can choose to show up in the maps area as well. And then I've also noticed on mobile devices that these ads are also appearing even in the first listings, not even when you go through the maps, but this is also in the local pack. You can advertise here, at least on mobile devices. So again, my takeaways for today, what you really want to think about is do the claim and cleanse. You need to own your listing. Then go about getting more citations and more links, and really focus on getting as many reviews and make this a regular part of your local SEO plan. Local SEO is not a one-off. This is an ongoing battle because one of your other competitors are going to step in and do what you're not doing. So either you're going to catch up and stay ahead, or someone else is going to pass you by. That's the content I have for today in terms of local SEO. If you need to get back to work, I totally get it. But if you want to stick around and ask me any questions that you have about local SEO, SEO in general, or any other tactics or techniques that local businesses might try and use to increase both their site traffic and their foot traffic, I'm happy to hang around for a little while and answer those questions. Here is one of our first questions. Thank you, Marie. And we've got, if you have multiple locations, do you suggest having multiple business accounts, or is a way to merge them to have multiple addresses under one listing? My understanding is that you're going to want to have specific listings for each one of your businesses. So I would have a page on my website for each one of my locations. And then I'd also want to make sure that each one of those had its own unique listings. And yes, it's more work, but it's definitely a dog-eat-dog world out there, and you definitely want to focus on what's going to make the biggest difference, and local SEO is going to be one of those things. Jenny says, we're a small community bank with just 2 branches. When I searched bank in Wakefield, we came up first in the local results. When I searched bank, we came up 4th. Any idea the reason may be? Yes. I mean, basically my guess would be, as you asked for a very specific search term the first time around, and when you went a little bit broader, there's just more competition for that. Maybe you've done a better job of optimizing for the phrase bank in Wakefield or Wakefield Bank. So it's when you just search for bank, you might be pulling in things that are a little bit less localized to you. Terry asks if I can elaborate on links. Do you need to ask another biz, organization, membership, etc. for a link to them? Just to be clear, what you want is you want other people linking to you, not necessarily that you're linking out to them. So there's a number of things that you can do. One is you belong to a chamber of commerce, my guess is. They'll probably, any membership organization, especially paid membership organization, is going to link out to you as a member. So there's some opportunity there as well. Link building is kind of a challenging thing. Maybe that should be a topic for another webinar. But I would be looking for, let's say pet store, right? So I would do a search for pet store on my laptop computer or my phone, and I'd look to see what kind of directories and guides and services pop up for that listing that rank well, and those are the ones that I might concentrate first on in terms of getting incoming links, being like, hey, I noticed that you're linking to my competition, but you're not linking to me. Do you think that you might be willing to provide a link out to me? Another source that you can do is, I mentioned this in my organic SEO webinar from a few weeks back, which is available to you on demand. And in that one, I talk a little bit about another Moz product called Open Site Explorer. And using Open Site Explorer, you can see how many people are linking to you, but you can also use the tool to see how many people are linking to your competition. Then you can go to those websites and give them a reason why they should link to you. Another good way to get incoming links is through a tactic called guest blogging, where you blog for free at another blog. So you may want to find out if there are any local bloggers around or local businesses that have blogs and pitch them on why you might be a good person to write for them. A lot of people love getting others to write at their blog, so that can be a very beneficial thing for them because they get free content on their site, and your payment is a link back to your website. Both listings having the same website online store is okay, or should I be making different landing pages for online store from the Google location listings? What I might do, I think you do want to have unique links. So either I would link each location to a location page on the website, like each for each location, Marie. That's probably how I would do it. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Courtney says, when looking at the map where it has all the red dots where each location is for the category you searched, why are some dots red and some dots red with a white dot in the center? I believe that the ones with the dot in the center were actually little pins, and those are the ones that showed up on the map. So I believe what Google is telling you is there's a lot more than these 3 in this area, but here are the 3 we feel are most relevant for your search. All right. It looks like I've got all your questions answered. If you if you're shy and you didn't want to ask a question in front of other people, or if you think of a question later on, please feel free to write to me. You see my email address right there on the screen. Also, in the next 24 to 48 hours, I'm going to send out an email to everybody and give you a link to where you can watch this webinar if you missed it, also where you can get the slides, and even if you want to just listen to the audio as well. So in that, feel free to just hit the reply button and ask me any question you may have. And we are going to be having another 30-minute webinar, and I'll link to that as well. The next one is on how to generate more conversions at your website. That's going to be on same time, 1 p.m. on Tuesday, May 15th, I believe. So look forward to you guys registering for that and answering any questions. And one last question I got was, can I list my Google Voice phone? I think the important thing to think about is you want a local number, which Google Voice can do, and you want to be consistent across everywhere. So if you are going to list your Google Voice phone on your in your business listings, just make sure it's the same one that's on your website and everywhere else. Consistency is key. Citations are key. Reviews are key. Links are key. That's going to be what's going to push you further and further up the ladder when it comes to local search and local SEO. I want to thank everybody for your time and attention today. Have a great one.